right? So this will be our agenda today, like understanding what is velocity and how it works. And there is a specific concept called industry clouds in velocity. So we'll try to get a better view of it, and we'll try to see what are the advantages of using velocity and understanding certain velocity components. And we do have sales, just like how we have Salesforce success community. We do have velocity success community and velocity university and other things. Yeah, we'll try to get a better view of all of these things. Right, right. And just like in not specific to Salesforce, but usually any cloud platform, right? It could be Salesforce or it could be AWS or whatever it is, right? Usually we get three different kinds of services provided by all these cloud platforms, right? The first one is IaaS, which is the top layer of any multi-tenant architecture, right? It's not specific to Salesforce. So in this top layer, we usually get all these physical, places like storage, servers, network, all these things, right? This is the top layer, and where we only get this physical structures, right? And uh, in the next layer, we do have something called PaaS, right? Which is called a platform as a service, right? This is nothing but uh, Salesforce or I mean, Salesforce provides you a particular platform, and on top of that, they can build a specific platform, and which in turn can be used by the developers to build an application, right? Examples of these will be uh, Viva, CRM, Velocity, Tableau, CPQ, all of these. They use Salesforce and they build a platform on top of it. Right? That's what we call it as PaaS and platform as a service. Right? They use all of the, you know, I mean, all of these things provided in uh, IaaS by Salesforce, right? They use this storage, they use the servers, they use the network of Salesforce, and they build a platform using that, right? So that is called platform as a service, and examples of that will be Viva, Velocity, Tableau, and all. And finally, we have something called SaaS, which is nothing but software as a service. It's like using any cloud platform, you build an application and provide it to the end customer, so that they don't have to install any kind of software in their system. They can directly, if they have a browser and they have internet connection, they can start using your application by providing a username and password, right? That's usually what happens whenever you as a developer build any application in Salesforce, right? We build a CRM application, and any of those users who have access to your org would be able to log in and would be able to, uh, execute all these kinds of logics, maybe, which you would have developed as a developer, right? But here, what we have to understand is velocity is something which uses Salesforce uh, platform, like all these storage, servers, and network, and they provide us a platform to build an application instead of directly building a software in a Salesforce, right? These people, Velocity or Viva or Tableau, these guys provide us a platform which to using which you can build a application, right? So yeah, the better examples of platform as a service is all these Viva CRM, Velocity, Tableau, CPQ, and there are so many others, right? For example, let's talk about Viva CRM. It's specific to pharma industry, right? And they deal in that Viva CRM. They deal everything related to pharma industry there, right? So the way any company, any pharmaceutical company like Pfizer or Novartis, all these companies, the way they buy a drug, I mean, the way they create a drug and the way they get it into the market and they deploy it in the market. Right? That whole process will be taken care by Viva CRM. They have built a particular application on top of Salesforce, right? So we can use that application and we can develop a software on top of it, right? So that particular layer is called platform as a service, and Velocity here is using that as a service of Salesforce, right? Uh, for example, uh, we as the developers mostly worry about SaaS capability of Salesforce, right? When I say SaaS capability, it's basically we are going to use Salesforce as uh, 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 like the system, and we build an application and we provide it to a customer, right? So that's what is called a SaaS capability. But Velocity here using PaaS capability of a Salesforce, and they are providing us the platform to build any software on top of that, right? So yeah, what exactly is Velocity? I mean, how they have built it, and uh, what are the specific industry specific clouds they are building, and how does it work, right? For example, as I as we discussed, uh, Velocity is nothing but a platform that is being provided, right, as a package, right? You can see. So what these guys do is, let's take since during it's a pandemic time and we all know what is happening around the world, we'll consider that example itself, right? For example, Pfizer has produced a drug, and that is being sold as a vaccine around the world, right? So usually any pharma company that produces a drug and deploys it into the market, they actually go through a lot of process in the background, right? For example, these Pfizer or Novartis, or in India we have this Reddy's laboratory and all, right? The first BioNTech, and Serum Institute of India, all these. First of all, whenever the drug is being created, right? They go through certain stages of clinical trial, like stage one, stage two, stage three, and all. And if it passes everything, then they create that drug and deploy it into the market for testing purpose. And if it doesn't give any other chemical reactions, side effects to the end customers, right? They start deploying it into the markets. And how do they do that? Is like, since it is pandemic time now, everything happened so fast. But usually it would be like a customer, these Pfizer or Novartis, all these pharma companies usually would have sales representatives, right? They will go to each of these doctors or pharmaceutical companies, or they go to these hospitals. I mean, unlike in India, outside Asia, it's basically a little different, right? You cannot get any drug without a prescription, right? So unless or until you have a doctor's prescription, you'll not be able to get a specific drug, right? In India, it's pretty simple. You can go to any medical shop, you can get any kinds of medicine you require. But yeah, it's a little different outside Asia, right? You have to have the prescription in order to get a drug, right? So these Pfizer or Novartis, all these guys will have sales representatives, and they will go to these hospitals or doctors, whatever, and they'll try to explain these products, outcome, like whatever the side effects they get, or what is the outcome they're gonna get with using this drug, right? Even if it's for a common cold, they'll sell a drug and they'll say like, if you use this particular product of Novartis, you're gonna have a like better way of recovery, and they're gonna tell what are the side effects you get, like basically every detail about those products, right? So once these doctors or hospitals feel that it's okay, right? Even they provide a sample, right? If these doctors or hospitals feel it's okay, Then they start proceeding and prescribing this particular drug from Novartis or Pfizer. So that's how they make their sales go up for any particular product, right? To take care of this entire system, right? That's the specific platform called Viva CRM, right? It's nothing but a managed package in Salesforce. What they do is to fit in this whatever process I explained just now, to fit in that business requirement, they would have created certain objects, relationships, they would have created certain data model and few some Apex classes and we have pages and everything, all of that. And we as a Salesforce developers use all these to enhance.
I see.
Yeah.
Boş resetment. Share this.
Sorry, I didn't get the question. Fine. Yeah, these products and everything, we'll build everything using this Viva CRM, and we'll try to enhance our application using this Viva CRM. So, in a similar way, we have Velocity, which is providing us industry-specific clouds. Just give me a minute. Yeah, sorry. So Velocity is providing us industry-specific clouds over here, right? So what exactly is industry-specific clouds and why do we call it that, right? That's what we'll try to understand. So this the way this the process I explained just now regarding these pharmaceutical companies, right? Is going to be in a similar lines for each of these domains, right? Now, as the whole process I explained, right? These companies, going through all these various stages of clinical trials of producing a drug ultimately, you know letting these customers for customers for a pharmaceutical company are nothing but hospitals and doctors, right? So letting these customers know about their products and all the details, like including the side effects and everything, right? They get into the market by introducing these products, and these hospitals and doctors start prescribing that, right? So no matter what platform you use, ultimately the business flow is going to be the same, right? I may create an application in Java, I may create an application in using AWS, I may create an application using Salesforce, I may create an application using Cbuild, right? Ultimately, the business flow is going to be the same, right? The way we develop, the way we uh, build an application, that may differ based on the type of application we are using, but ultimately, it's always going to be the business flow is always going to be the same, right? The what should happen when, that entire process is always going to be the same thing. So Velocity has identified this for specific, industries. For example, telecommunications. Let's take telecom as an example here. And when Salesforce, when you want to build an application for any telecom client in Salesforce, or not just in Salesforce, basically any other platform as well, you have to understand the data model first, right? You have to understand the flow of business you have first, right? So that's what velocities comes into picture here. And like velocity has identified these specific industries like communications, media and entertainment, energy and utilities, insurance, health, government, and there are actually certain more industries that are being built right now, right? So we these velocity has provided us all of these industry clouds. Industry cloud is nothing but over here. each specific industry has a different flow of business that happens in the back end, right? So Velocity has identified this flow of business for all of these industries and creating a platform for us, and finally ultimately using that platform, we as a developers can build an application and provide it to the end customer, right? So yeah, let's consider this telecommunications example, right? For example, I mean, in yeah, again here in India, it's a pretty different situation where you can go buy a SIM card in any other shop, and you can just provide your proofs and all, and you can get a SIM card. But in outside Asia, it's a little different, right? Let's say Europe or North America or Australia, it's gonna be like you have to go to your this particular telecom company's website, and there you have to choose the products you would like, maybe a mobile phone or maybe a SIM card, maybe a plan, like mobile plan. You have to choose all these, and if you're an existing customer, you can log into their portal, or if you're a new customer, you give your account details and everything, and you provide certain documents for verification and all these, and you proceed on to choose these particular products and go ahead and do the payment, and ultimately this telecom company verifies everything, and it starts delivering those products to the customer, right? No matter what kind of application you're going to use, the flow of business is always going to be the same. The flow which I just explained, right? That is always going to be the same, even if you build your application in Salesforce, or even if you build an application in Java, or even if you build an application in some other cloud platform or somewhere. Right? No matter what kind of application you use, ultimately the flow of business is always going to be the same. So that's what Velocity has identified here in certain industries, and they have created industry specific cloud. So, which basically means whenever they say like you are this industry specific cloud, that means you will be able to download a specific managed package of Velocity, right? That means for communications or telecom, right? They have a certain package called CMT, right? Which indicates communications, media, and telecom, right? If you download that package, right, you will get a specific set of data model, objects, relationships, all these things, right? And that is called as industry specific cloud. If you download industry insurance, uh, you can say insurance managed package, insurance and health, right? You're going to get a certain different set of objects and relationships that come in as a package, right? So what Velocity has done here is identified these kinds of domains, and it figured out, okay, in order to make sure that this business requirement fits in, they have to create certain kind of products. I mean, that they have to certain create objects and relationships, right? For example, in a telecom company, uh, whenever you are processing your order, you have to apply certain promotions, you have to apply certain offers, you have to choose products in a different way, right? For example, if you subscribe to Tata Sky, right? If you go to their website, you would be able to subscribe an individual channel, let's say Sony 10 one, or you can buy a whole package of Sony, or you can buy specific language related packages, whatever it is, right? You can build your own package, you can subscribe to it, and that will be affected immediately in your television, right? So Velocity has identified this and created certain objects and relationships in such a way that your entire business model fits in perfectly in a software, right? So they have created this kind of structure, right? Data model, you can say, for each industry, and that's what we call as industry specific cloud in velocity, right? For example, telecom companies operate in a different way, right? And government related companies will are going to uh, I mean, the whole logic or everything executes in a different way, or energies and utilities like power companies, right? We have this, for example, in India, we have Southern Distribution Power Company, or there are various power companies, right? They all are going to their flow of business is going to be different, right? So velocity has created certain objects and relations specific to each and every industry. So, for example, if you're a telecom company, if you whenever you have this whenever you want to build an application in your Salesforce, right? Instead of going right from the scratch by creating the data model and everything, you can simply go and download Velocity's uh, that specific clouds. I mean that specific domains package. You can download it and you can get a license from Velocity, and you can start using building your application right away, right? So that's what we call as industry specific cloud. For each industry, there are around, as of now, some 6 or 7 different industries. Whatever you seeing on the screen, right? These are all specific industries provided by industry specific clouds provided by Velocity. They're actually working on increasing the count to up to 15, right? Maybe I'll show you later on what are all the clouds that are being built as well in Velocity, right? So they have identified this kind of whole business flow in Velocity. I mean, not just specific to Velocity, a business flow in each particular domain, right? And they have created a data model by creating certain objects and relationships and fields, all these things, right? So when you download a managed package of a particular industry, you'll get all of these features in hand right away, right? Usually, I mean, as a developers, we may not know this, but right, whenever a project starts right from the scratch, right, usually almost at least 6 months of time goes in the brainstorming of how the data model or product model should be, right? Even before the project development starts, at least 6 months or some 5 months will be used to determine the data model of that particular project, right? But if you use Velocity, bang on, you already have that data model, right? So you don't have to waste so much of time. The moment you just download a specific industry specific pack, you already get that
Mm.
objects and relationships all in this entire data model, right? So that's what we call it as industry specific clouds, and we have whatever clouds